Before the flood, there was a light that never died. Deep beneath the Atlantic, sonar scans revealed something impossible: geometric structures, aligned to the stars, pulsing with traces of unknown energy. When marine archaeologist Dr. Evelyn Cordé uncovered a sealed Templar manuscript at the Book of Eternal Light, she realized her bloodline had guarded a secret for centuries. The maps pointed to a location the world refuses to believe exists. Now, a race begins, between science and shadow, to uncover the crystal temples of Atlantis before their power awakens again. And this time, humanity might not survive the truth. The rain hammered against the old library's windows, drowning the sound of footsteps echoing through the marble hall. Dr. Evelyn Cordé, a marine archaeologist from the University of Marseille, had spent 3 nights searching through the dusty archives of the de Montfort estate, her family's ancestral home. She wasn't just looking for history, she was chasing a legend whispered through generations of her bloodline. Hidden inside a false wall behind the family chapel, Evelyn's flashlight caught a glint of gold. There, wrapped in cracked leather and sealed with a faded red wax sigil of the Knights Templar, lay a book, Liber Lux Aeternum, the Book of Eternal Light. Her pulse quickened. The seal matched one she had seen carved beneath a Templar tomb in Cyprus years before. She opened the fragile pages, revealing diagrams of vast underwater cities built from crystalline structures, annotated with geometric formulas and ancient coordinates. The text spoke of a source of light that predates the flood, Iran maps pointing toward the mid-Atlantic ridge, a place modern geology called impossible for civilization. Lightning flashed through the windows, illuminating the Templar cross embossed on the book's final page. Beneath it, a handwritten note in archaic French. "To my descendants, the world below still breathes." Evelyn's breath caught. She realized this wasn't just a myth. It was a message, and she was meant to find it. The storm outside had barely faded when Evelyn laid the ancient manuscript on her desk. The ink shimmered faintly under ultraviolet light, revealing hidden markings invisible to the naked eye. Latin mixed with archaic Greek, and equations more advanced than anything written in the Middle Ages. She scanned a map etched with strange concentric circles, their coordinates intersecting at a point in the mid-Atlantic, near the Azores. At the margins, a Templar motto caught her attention: "If lux primer ad veritatem, through the sea to truth." Evelyn uploaded the coordinates into her oceanographic software, overlaying them with modern sonar data. Her eyes widened. There, beneath the sediment, a geometric anomaly almost 2 kilometers wide, symmetrical, hexagonal, unnatural. The data pulsed on the screen like a heartbeat. She called her mentor, Professor Evelyn Cordé, a veteran geologist known for debunking pseudo-archaeology. His tone changed when she mentioned the Templar insignia. "Evelyn, there was an expedition in 1942. British Navy. They found something in that region and buried it under national secrecy. I can get you the files, but it won't be easy." As the call ended, Evelyn noticed a final note in the manuscript, written in a language she didn't recognize, a cipher. She flipped through the pages until she saw a faint drawing, a temple of pure crystal rising from a sea of light. Her reflection shimmered in its surface as if the illustration itself were alive. Something deep inside her whispered, "Find it." 2 days later, Evelyn arrived at the Maritime Archives in Lisbon, where Professor Cordé awaited her with a folder marked classified, Admiralty Operations 1942. The smell of aged paper mixed with salt air from the nearby docks. Inside were black and white photos, sonar scans, naval logs, and a single blurred image of what looked like a colossal structure under the sea. The report mentioned an expedition codenamed Project Poseidon. Its purpose: to investigate anomalous electromagnetic readings near the Azores Trench. Raphael spoke quietly, his voice heavy. These men weren't just sailors. They had archaeologists, physicists, even theologians. And after the fifth dive, the entire crew vanished. Only one journal was recovered, waterlogged, pages fused together. Evelyn leaned closer. One line had been underlined in red pencil. The light beneath the waves, it sings. Her heart pounded. The phrase matched one from the Book of Eternal Light. This wasn't coincidence, it was connection. Raphael handed her another document, half-burned, showing a diagram of a crystal lattice structure labeled E-Energy Resonance Chamber. The note beneath read, "Recovered fragment indicates non-terrestrial isotope composition." Lightning flickered across the harbor as thunder rolled through the city. Evelyn looked up from the file. "If this is real, Raphael, they found a piece of Atlantis." He nodded slowly. "Then we go where they disappeared." Outside, rain fell like silver threads. In that moment, Evelyn knew there was no turning back. The path ahead led into the depths of legend. 3 months later, the research vessel Aegis cut through the Atlantic swells under a bruised sky. On deck, Evelyn adjusted her dive gear while drones and submersibles hummed in preparation. The expedition, officially funded by the Oceanographic Institute, had a far deeper purpose: to locate the anomaly the Templars called the Gate of Light. Professor Cord watched her from the bridge. "The readings are off the charts," he muttered, studying the electromagnetic sensors. "There's a pulse coming from below, rhythmic, almost intelligent." As the ship neared the coordinates, a deep hum resonated through the hull. Crew members exchanged uneasy glances. It wasn't mechanical, it was alive. That night, Evelyn reviewed the mission files. Buried within a digital archive, she found a sealed folder titled Poseidon 2.0. It contained satellite images, new ones, showing faint geometric shadows beneath the ocean floor. Someone else had been here. Recently. The next morning, a private helicopter appeared on radar. A corporate vessel, Argus Deep Exploration, demanded to share the research zone. Evelyn's instincts screamed danger. "They know about the manuscript," as she whispered. At dawn, she descended in the Nautilus 7 submersible, the deep blue swallowing her vessel. Pressure groaned against the glass as light faded into darkness. At 3,000 meters, her sonar painted the seafloor, smooth, unnatural, a perfect circle. Then, a flicker. A pulse of blue light rippled across the abyss, forming the outline of massive crystalline towers rising from the depths. Evelyn gasped, "A Mondayu." Beneath her, the lost world of Atlantis began to awaken. The light intensified as Evelyn's submersible glided through clouds of glowing plankton that danced like living stars. The sonar painted impossible shapes, towering spires of transparent crystal, arches woven together with precision no human hand could match. "Surface, are you seeing this?" as she whispered into the calm static answered her. The deeper she went, the less the instruments worked, like the ocean itself wanted silence. Then she saw it, a colossal archway half buried in silt, covered in strange geometric carvings that shimmered with a faint inner glow. The structure pulsed rhythmically, in sync with her heartbeat. On its keystone, a familiar shape emerged, the cross of the Templars, carved in ancient stone. Evelyn's breath fogged the glass. Impossible, it can't be. She reached for the mechanical arm of the submersible and brushed away sediment. Beneath the symbols, an inscription flared to life, a lux aeternum. The same phrase from the manuscript. Her vitals spiked. Somehow, the temple was responding to her. Inside her cabin, instruments flickered, DNA scanner, proximity alert, everything flashing red. Professor Cordé's voice cracked through the static. Evelyn. Back to the surface, the energy levels are spiking. But before she could react, a wave of light surged outward from the gate. The entire seafloor trembled. For a brief, terrifying instant, she saw figures within the crystal, silhouettes of beings frozen in motion, human yet different. The submersible spun violently as power systems overloaded. Evelyn clung to the controls, heart pounding. Through the swirling haze, one shape in the gate turned its head toward her. Then, darkness. A high-pitched tone echoed in her ears as consciousness returned. Evelyn blinked through the cracked glass of the Nautilus 7. Emergency lights flickered crimson, painting the cockpit in ghostly hues. Pressure readings were erratic. She should have been crushed. Yet somehow, the hull remained intact. Outside, silence. No movement. The glow from the crystal gate had faded, replaced by a dim, pulsating light deeper within the ruins, like a heartbeat in the abyss. Surface, this is Dr. Moreau. Do you copy? Only static answered. Her oxygen gauge dropped. She had to surface, but then something appeared on the sonar. A faint echo. Another submersible? The signal was faint, old, decades old. Evelyn zoomed in. The identification tag read, Poseidon 1. Her pulse quickened. The lost 1942 expedition, still down here. She guided her damaged vessel closer, through drifting clouds of sediment. Out of the darkness emerged the wreck, covered in coral, yet eerily preserved. The British insignia still visible on its hull. But as her floodlights swept across the cockpit, her breath froze. Inside the shattered glass, the skeletons of the crew were arranged upright, as if sitting, eyes hollow, skulls faintly luminescent. Then her comm crackled, for the first time in hours. Evelyn, we see you. She froze. It wasn't Raphael's voice. It was layered, distorted, a chorus of whispers speaking in unison. The light from the temple pulsed again, synchronizing with the sound. Something down there had awakened, and it knew her name. On the deck of the Aegis, monitors flared with warning alarms. Raphael leaned over the sonar console, eyes wide. The Nautilus 7 had gone dark hours ago, yet now a signal pulsed from the depths, rhythmic, artificial, impossibly strong. It's emanating energy, he muttered. Not just sonar, something else. Magnetic fields, light emissions, even deep-sea currents are shifting. Across the globe, oceanographic sensors recorded anomalies, tidal surges, glowing patches of bioluminescence, strange magnetic disturbances. News stations scrambled to explain it as solar storms. But Raphael knew better. He radioed Evelyn's submersible. Evelyn, Can you hear me? Static answered. Then, a distorted voice. The temple recognizes its keeper. Raphael's hand trembled. He knew she was connected, through bloodline, through the manuscript, to the ancient power below. On the ocean floor, the crystal gates pulsed, sending arcs of energy along the seafloor. Massive stone monoliths, previously dormant, now resonated like chimes. Sediment swirled in glowing patterns, forming glyphs that no human had ever documented. Evelyn's voice cracked in the calm, panic lacing every word. It's alive. It's reacting to me. Meanwhile, aboard the Argus Deep Exploration, corporate drones intercepted the signal. Investors saw opportunity, danger, and profit, unaware that they were meddling with forces capable of reshaping continents. Raphael turned to the crew. Prepare a deep deploy team. We're bringing her back, and we need to understand what's waking down there before the world pays the price. Above the waves, lightning split the sky. Below, the ancient city stirred. And somewhere, deep in the crystal temple, a presence watched, waiting, learning. Evelyn's eyes widened as a wave of warmth, light, and sound enveloped her submersible. The crystal gates pulsed in sync with her heartbeat, cascading iridescent rays through the murky depths. The entire abyss seemed to shimmer with memory, vibrating with whispers of a civilization long lost. Suddenly, the walls of her cabin dissolved, not physically, but in vision. She was no longer in the submersible. She was standing on polished streets of Atlantis. Towers of translucent crystal rose like mountains, streets lined with flowing canals of luminous water. Atlanteans walked among the temples, their robes catching the sun that had never known cloud or storm. A colossal central temple dominated the skyline, energy radiating from its apex. She saw the builders, scientists, priests, artisans, working together in harmony, harnessing the same energy she now felt pulsing in her veins. One figure turned, wearing the Templar cross, eyes blazing with knowing light. Then a voice, echoing both within her mind and through the crystal currents. You are the heir. The legacy survives in blood, in knowledge, and in courage. Evelyn gasped, gripping the console. The vision shifted. Shadows of the coming flood swept across the city, waters rising, storms forming. The Atlanteans tried to stabilize the crystal energy, but the wave was unstoppable. The past and present merged as the temple's light flared violently. Back in the submersible, alarms screamed. The crystal gate responded, sending arcs of energy that made the surrounding water glow like molten sapphire. Evelyn felt an undeniable connection, every pulse, every flicker of light, as if the temple itself recognized her. The message was clear. Atlantis had not entirely vanished. Its energy remained, waiting for someone worthy to awaken it. And she was the key. The glow of the temple's crystal towers intensified, sending beams of blue and violet slicing through the water. Evelyn's submersible shuddered as ripples of energy danced across the hull. Instruments went haywire, displaying readings no modern science could explain. Magnetic flux beyond comprehension, energy pulses mimicking consciousness. Then, silhouettes appeared in the shimmering haze, massive figures, humanoid yet crystalline, formed from refracted light and pulsing energy. The Guardians. Evelyn's hands tightened on the controls. They're alive, as she whispered. Her voice was swallowed by the hum of resonating crystal. The Guardians moved deliberately, circling the submersible, each step sending shockwaves through the surrounding ruins. Through the comms, Raphael's voice cut in urgently. "Evelyn, get out now. They're responding to something in you." The submersible jolted violently. A guardian reached forward, its form bending light, and for a moment Evelyn glimpsed the full scale. Towers taller than skyscrapers, limbs like giant prisms, eyes glowing with intelligence. The book she carried, the Liber Lux Aeternum, began to vibrate, pages flickering with energy. Symbols projected like holograms into the cabin, aligning with the Guardian's movements. It wasn't aggression, it was testing her. "You are of the line," the voices whispered inside her mind, a chorus of tones vibrating in harmony with the temple. "Prove your worth, or be unmade." Evelyn felt a pulse of fear and awe. The path forward was no longer about discovery alone. Survival, understanding, and acceptance of the temple's ancient rules would determine whether she lived or became part of Atlantis itself. The Guardians shifted, and a corridor of crystal opened ahead, leading deeper into the heart of the lost city. Evelyn maneuvered the Nautilus 7 through the corridor of light, the crystal walls refracting her headlamps into fractals of shimmering blue and gold. Each step forward amplified the hum, a low-frequency resonance that seemed to speak in equations and rhythms, a language older than any human script. At the corridor's end, she saw it, a colossal chamber, its ceiling lost in darkness, crystal spires rising like stalagmites from the ocean floor. In the center, a massive circular platform rotated slowly, etched with intricate glyphs, gears, and conduits of light. It pulsed in synchronization with the energy she had felt before, as if alive. She reached for the Templar book. Symbols on the pages aligned with the carvings on the platform. A sequence revealed itself, a key hidden in plain sight. The mechanisms responded, light flowing through the crystal conduits like liquid sunlight. Then, a sudden tremor. A shard of crystal, larger than her submersible, shifted into position, forming part of a lattice that connected the platform to the spires above. Energy arcs danced along the lines, and holographic projections appeared in the water, maps of Atlantis, star alignments, and notes in a mixture of Greek and archaic Latin. Evelyn realized this was no mere monument. It was a machine, a repository of knowledge and power. Its purpose was partially lost to time, but its precision surpassed anything modern engineering could replicate. A whisper echoed in the water, resonating through her mind. "Align the light, awaken the city." Her pulse quickened. Every instinct told her to proceed cautiously, yet curiosity burned brighter than fear. Atlantis was not just a legend anymore. It was a living, conscious system, and she was at its helm. The platform's hum grew louder, vibrating through the water and into Evelyn's bones. She traced the symbols from the Liber Lux Aeternum along the circular glyphs. The crystal conduits shimmered brighter with each touch, and suddenly the chamber erupted in radiant blue light. From the center, a holographic map emerged, projected into the water as three-dimensional streams of glowing light. Evelyn's eyes widened. She wasn't just seeing the temple. She was seeing the entire city, buried beneath kilometers of ocean. Crystalline spires, waterways, energy conduits, and domed structures formed a lattice of astonishing precision. Lines of light connected the central temple to smaller, satellite structures. Pulses of energy ran through the map like arteries, each one representing a functioning energy node, a network of power that had survived the flood. Coordinates appeared, pointing toward distant, uncharted areas of the seafloor, places no modern vessel had ever reached. Professor Cordé's voice crackled in her headset, tinged with awe. "Evelyn, that's incredible. Those nodes, if we could harness just one, it would change everything we know about physics, energy, civilization." Evelyn focused on one glowing spire at the edge of the map. She could feel a subtle resonance from her Templar lineage, as though the energy itself recognized her. The map wasn't just a record, it was a living guide, reacting to her presence. Suddenly, a shadow passed across the projection. The Guardians were moving above the lattice, scanning, testing, protecting. Evelyn realized that each energy node was a trial, a checkpoint in the awakening of Atlantis. Her heart raced. She had discovered the key to a civilization lost to myth, but activating it would demand courage, intellect, and a deep understanding of both science and the ancient wisdom encoded in crystal. The city awaits its heir. But are you ready to walk the path it sets? Evelyn hovered above the glowing map, tracing the path to the nearest crystal spire. The water around the chamber vibrated as if in anticipation. The Guardians shifted closer, their prisms refracting light into intricate patterns across the walls, forming a web of symbols that mirrored the holographic map. The spire pulsed rhythmically. As Evelyn approached, she realized it wasn't just a monument. It was a dynamic puzzle, an energy circuit demanding precise alignment. The crystal conduits responded to gestures, light, and vibration, requiring intuition as much as intellect. Sweat mixed with salt water in her helmet as she maneuvered the submersible arms, adjusting prisms and channels. Each movement caused pulses to travel through the lattice, revealing new connections and pathways. One wrong alignment, and the energy surge could disable the submersible or worse. Then she felt it, a resonance within her bloodline. The Templar DNA, the knowledge encoded in her ancestry, guided her hands. Symbols she had never consciously learned resonated in her mind, echoing the manuscript's cryptic instructions. With a final, calculated movement, a surge of energy shot through the spire. The water around the chamber ignited with light, and the pulse harmonized with the map. A hidden corridor opened at the base of the spire, lined with crystal glyphs glowing golden. Through the comms, Raphael's voice came trembling. "Evelyn, where are the readings? The energy, it's off the charts. That spire, it's responding to you. You're not just observing Atlantis, you're becoming part of it." Evelyn's pulse raced. The trial was complete, but she knew it was only the first of many. The city itself had tests. The path ahead promised knowledge and power, but also danger. Atlantis was alive. And now, it was watching her. The corridor at the base of the spire opened into a vast chamber, far larger than anything Evelyn had imagined. Crystal walls stretched into darkness, each facet reflecting fragments of light that danced like stars in the deep ocean. At the center lay a series of platforms, each etched with glyphs and energy conduits, the Sunken Library of Atlantis. Rows upon rows of crystalline tablets floated in suspension, emitting soft hums. The inscriptions glowed with a faint azure light, readable only through the energy resonance she now carried within her. Evelyn realized she could interact with them, as if the city itself trusted her touch. She reached out to one tablet, and a holographic projection erupted. Star charts, ocean currents, mechanical schematics, formulas combining physics and metaphysics. The level of sophistication was staggering. Energy crystals that could store and transmit power across vast distances, machines designed to manipulate water and weather, maps of hidden nodes throughout the Atlantic. A sudden vibration ran through the chamber. The guardians materialized, their light refracting against the tablets. One figure approached, larger and brighter than the others, gesturing toward a cluster of tablets. The voice she had heard before resonated in her mind. Knowledge without understanding is dangerous. Learn, or be consumed. Evelyn spent hours deciphering the sequences. The manuscripts revealed that Atlantis had been a hub of both science and spiritual insight, a civilization capable of harnessing energy from the planet itself. Some mechanisms were meant to protect the city, others to share its knowledge, but all required a precise alignment of mind, bloodline, and intent. Suddenly, a ripple of energy surged from the far end of the chamber. A tablet began levitating, spinning in mid-water, forming a rotating key. Evelyn's heart raced. This was a puzzle of far greater magnitude than the Spire trial. Solving it could unlock the next stage of the city, but failing could seal her inside, forever. The heart of Atlantis was alive, and it demanded respect, or it would devour the unworthy. The levitating tablet spun gracefully in mid-water, casting fractured beams across the chamber. Evelyn held her breath, studying the glyphs etched on its surface. It wasn't just a puzzle, it was a lock, a precise sequence of movements and alignments that connected directly to the city's energy grid. Her hands moved instinctively, guided by the resonance she felt through her bloodline. As each segment of the tablet aligned with corresponding conduits on the chamber floor, streams of light shot along crystalline channels, illuminating previously hidden corridors and chambers. Suddenly, a pulse of energy surged through the water, knocking her submersible slightly off course. The guardians moved in, hovering silently, observing. Evelyn realized this was a test of both intellect and composure. Any misstep could trigger defensive mechanisms, sealing the chamber or worse. She adjusted a prism on the tablet, and a harmonic tone resonated through the chamber. Water shimmered as if liquid itself carried sound. The tablet rotated faster, then clicked into place. A chain reaction of light cascaded across the city. Spires, conduits, and walls shimmered with living energy. On her screen, holographic channels illuminated pathways running beneath the seafloor, energy flows that could power the entire Atlantic basin if harnessed. The guardians retreated, their light dimming, leaving her in awe. Professor Cordé's voice crackled through the comms. Evelyn, those channels, they're real. You've activated a network no one believed existed. Atlantis isn't just a city, it's a system, a living circuit. Evelyn's pulse quickened. She realized the true magnitude of her discovery. The city was no longer dormant. By solving the rotating key, she had woken Atlantis, and the energy coursing through its channels was alive, aware. Every pulse of light, every vibration of crystal, now answered to her presence. Beyond the rotating key chamber, a narrow corridor of crystal spiraled downward, guiding Evelyn toward a hidden vault. The walls shimmered with inscriptions that seemed to ripple, as though recording her presence. Each pulse of light corresponded with her heartbeat, syncing her to the city itself. At the end, a massive archway revealed the hidden archives, a sanctuary of knowledge preserved for millennia. Crystalline shelves floated in mid-water, stacked with tablets, scrolls, and objects that defied conventional physics. Energy flowed along the shelves, animating the inscriptions as if they were alive. Evelyn approached a set of devices shaped like spheres and prisms. One emitted a soft hum, resonating with tidal patterns above. Notes on a nearby tablet suggested that these mechanisms could manipulate currents, weather, and even volcanic activity, technology indistinguishable from magic to modern eyes. She reached for a golden sphere etched with Templar symbols. As her fingers brushed its surface, a projection erupted, showing storm patterns forming and dissipating with each rotation of the device. The Guardians watched silently, their forms flickering in the archive light, ensuring the artifacts were not misused. Holographic inscriptions narrated the city's purpose. Atlantis had not only mastered energy but had sought to harmonize it with the planet. It was a civilization of both intellect and stewardship. Evelyn's mind raced. If she could understand these devices, she could unlock potential beyond any known science, but misuse could unleash catastrophic forces. Atlantis had entrusted its legacy to the worthy. And now, the choice was hers. Evelyn stood at the center of the hidden archives, the golden sphere pulsating in her hands. Following the instructions encoded in the crystalline tablets, she aligned it with the conduits radiating from the rotating key chamber. Light shot through the channels, cascading like molten rivers across the city's spires and corridors. The Guardians observed silently, their refracted forms now casting a luminous canopy above the chambers. Each pulse synchronized with Evelyn's heartbeat, amplifying the resonance of the temple. Holographic projections materialized around her, showing energy flows traveling beyond the city, through oceanic ridges, volcanic vents, and even into the currents that crisscrossed the planet. Professor Cordé's voice echoed through the submersible comms, tense with disbelief. Evelyn, or the readings, energy is propagating globally. That city, it's alive. The map of crystal conduits revealed a planetary network, nodes extending to forgotten temples, submerged ruins, and places previously thought geologically dormant. Evelyn realized the city wasn't just a remnant of the past. It was a living system, capable of influencing climate, seismic activity, and even magnetic fields. A pulse of energy surged from the main temple, forming a bridge of shimmering light toward a distant, previously hidden spire. Evelyn's vision expanded. She could see the city as a whole, every node, every crystal, every guardian in perfect harmony. The awakening sequence was not just about knowledge, it was about restoring Atlantis' global influence, a balance lost millennia ago. The hum intensified, vibrating through the hull, through her body, and through the ocean itself. Atlantis had awakened. And now, the world above would feel its presence. The city waited, aware, alive, and ready to test those who would wield its power. No sooner had the awakening sequence stabilized than alarms blared across the Aegis. Sensors detected multiple vessels converging on their coordinates. The Argus Deep Exploration had followed them, corporate mercenaries ready to seize the technology and control the energy network. Evelyn gripped the controls, feeling the pulse of the city resonate through her body. The Guardians, sensing an intrusion, shifted into defensive formations around the spires, creating dazzling barriers of light and water currents. Submersible drones from the corporate ship approached, but each one was caught in swirling energy eddies, tossed like leaves in a storm. Suddenly, the ocean floor trembled. Beyond human interference, massive, unfamiliar shapes stirred, remnants of Atlantean defense mechanisms, long dormant. Stone constructs, partially fossilized, moved with precision, reacting to the energy the awakening sequence had unleashed. Raphael's voice came over the comms, urgent and tense. Evelyn, they're not just after the artifacts. The sequence is attracting something deeper. You need to finish the alignment now, or the entire network could destabilize. Evelyn's pulse raced. Through the glowing conduits, she could feel the energy flux, the city's heartbeat, and the pull of its ancient protective instincts. With a decisive motion, she adjusted the final crystal nodes, directing the flow to stabilize the outer circuits. The energy surged outward, creating a protective dome of shimmering light that repelled the intruding drones and calmed the restless sea constructs. Breathing heavily, Evelyn realized the magnitude of what they had done. Atlantis was awakening, and the world above was beginning to take notice, both in awe and fear. The first challenge had been survived, but many more awaited. And each would test the courage, intellect, and legacy of the city's chosen heir. In the deepest chamber of the hidden archives, Evelyn discovered a pedestal unlike any other. Atop it rested a crystalline tablet, larger than a human torso, etched with flowing inscriptions and geometric patterns that shimmered with a spectrum of colors. This was the Atlantean Codex, a master document chronicling both knowledge and prophecy. As she touched its surface, the tablet responded, projecting an intricate holographic sequence. The Codex detailed the full extent of the crystal network, energy nodes spanning the globe, designed to stabilize the planet's ecosystems, regulate weather, and maintain equilibrium between land, sea, and sky. One section projected future scenarios. Evelyn gasped as she saw cities flooded, storms magnified, and tectonic shifts, all consequences of misaligned energy flows or misuse of the network. Another sequence, glowing green, showed harmonious outcomes, sustainable energy, thriving ecosystems, and civilizations in balance. The inscriptions also contained instructions, encoded in a combination of mathematics, resonance patterns, and symbolic language. Evelyn realized that the Codex was not just a book, it was a guide and warning. It required understanding, responsibility, and alignment with the energy itself. Suddenly, the Guardians projected an image of a central crystal hub, its light piercing deep into the ocean floor. The Codex pulsed in resonance with the hub, as if confirming Evelyn's role. The heir has awakened. The balance depends on their will. Evelyn's heart pounded. She understood the stakes. Atlantis was more than history or myth. It was a living system with the power to shape the planet. Misuse could spell catastrophe. Mastery could usher in a new era. The fate of the world now rested in the hands of one heir, and the Codex was the key to unlocking its destiny. Evelyn stood at the central hub, the Golden Sphere and Atlantean Codex pulsating in harmony. The Guardians circled around her, refracting beams of light that danced like auroras across the chamber. The city thrummed with anticipation, every crystal spire, every conduit, every energy node poised for activation. Now or never, as she whispered. Aligning the Codex with the rotating key and all peripheral nodes, she initiated the final alignment. Energy surged through the conduits, cascading along crystal channels and radiating outward to the distant nodes revealed by the Sunken Library. The water around the city glowed with a living light, and the pulse of Atlantis became a heartbeat she could feel in her own chest. Outside, the ocean responded. Currents shifted, bioluminescent life swirled in spirals, and distant tectonic sensors detected subtle harmonic vibrations. The Guardians stabilized the flow, creating a protective barrier that repelled unauthorized vessels and potential threats. Suddenly, the energy reached a crescendo. Light shot from the central spire toward the horizon, connecting with nodes buried deep beneath the ocean floor. Evelyn saw visions of the world above, cities, storms, ecosystems, all subtly harmonizing, responding to the awakening of Atlantis. A tremor shook the hub, but it was controlled, purposeful. The city had accepted her as its heir, its living consciousness now aligned with her intent. She realized the full truth. Atlantis was not just a relic of the past, it was a planetary system, a network of energy, intelligence, and guardianship, capable of guiding humanity toward balance or destruction. Evelyn's voice trembled with awe and responsibility. I understand now. The city trusts me to protect this power, to use it wisely. As the light subsided to a steady, glowing pulse, the Guardians retreated into the spires, leaving Evelyn at the heart of the fully awakened city. Atlantis had returned, alive, aware, and ready to shape the future. The final alignment was complete. The legacy of Atlantis, entrusted to the worthy, had begun anew. Months had passed since the final alignment. Evelyn surfaced aboard the Aegis, greeted by dawn light glittering off calm Atlantic waters. The world above seemed unchanged, yet she knew it was subtly different. Currents steadier, storms less erratic, energies harmonized. Atlantis had integrated its rhythm with the planet once more. The Codex lay secured in a specially shielded chamber aboard the ship, but its knowledge was alive, projecting subtle insights into the ocean, guiding her intuitively. Evelyn had become not just an explorer, but a guardian, the bridge between the living city below and humanity above. Professor Cord stood beside her, or still etched on his face. You've done it. The city trusts you. Evelyn gazed toward the horizon, where faint pulses of blue light shimmered beneath the waves. The Guardians had returned to their posts, patient and vigilant. Yet she felt their presence constantly, like a pulse in her own veins. She reflected on the journey, the manuscripts, the lost expedition, the trials, the awakening. Every danger, every discovery, had led to this moment. Atlantis was not just a myth anymore. It was a legacy, alive and awaiting those ready to understand and protect it. With a steadying breath, she whispered to the wind. The world may not see it yet, but Atlantis is alive, and I will ensure its legacy endures. Above, the sun rose higher, scattering gold across the waves. Beneath the ocean, the crystal city glowed softly, a beacon of knowledge, power, and hope for the generations to come. The story of Atlantis was no longer buried in legend. It had returned, alive, aware, and eternal.